welcome and thank you for joining us at the Accelerating Diversity in Technology event at the BCS. Quick introduction, my name is Unzube Ufodike. I'm an entrepreneur, angel investor and investment director with several years of experience at that intersection of technology, finance, and corporate venturing. I serve as a board member and advisor to a couple of businesses in the UK and emerging markets, and I'm the vice chair of the London Central branch, as well as a founding chair of EMBRACE, both at the BCS Chartered Institute for IT. This time last year at 1 p.m. and the UK went into an official lockdown, and what a year it has been. A lot has changed. We've moved from our physical to virtual events, and this event, it's focused on diversity and how accelerators can play a role in changing the IT ecosystem. Technology companies that end up scaling tend to go through venture partners or accelerators to enable that growth. How can those accelerators play a role in supporting diversity to make the sort of IT sector that we want to see? The format for today's event will have a quick 10-minute keynote presentation by our president, Rebecca George, and then a panel conversation that'll be moderated by Kirthi. Without further ado, I'll quickly introduce our president, Rebecca George, who slays dragons for breakfast, uplifts women in IT for lunch, and runs a couple of multi-million-pound portfolios as a Deloitte partner, where she works with the UK, Northern and Southern European governments. So over to you, Rebecca George, please, for your keynote address.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction. It makes me sound like I can walk on water, and actually I can't. But I do have a lot of fun. And one of the things I'm really passionate about is diversity and inclusion in the IT profession. I just ought to, for the record, make it clear that I stopped being the president of the BCS on the 10th of March and handed over to John Higgins. But when this invitation came in to speak, I was still the president. And I'm now, I have the grand title of immediate past president, and will continue to be really active in all sorts of different areas around the BCS going forward, which is brilliant. So I've been asked to just spend 10 minutes this evening talking to you a little bit about what the BCS is doing around diversity and inclusion. And I'm really pleased to be doing it right now because we've made this over the last year, you know, as we've already heard, this has been a really interesting and challenging year. The BCS has made an organization-wide commitment to diversity and promoting and encouraging the most diverse range of talent and voices that we can find. Just to remind you, in case you don't know, BCS is a professional body for the IT industry, and our mission is to make IT good for society, to promote and advance the practice of computing, and to make sense of all the issues where technology impacts on the public. We've got around 60,000 members ranging from students to senior leaders and academics. And it's vital to us and probably seems obvious to everybody who's here this evening that IT teams are diverse because the range of people that they are creating products and services for are diverse. And I think we all know, don't we, that the more diversity you have in a team when you're trying to solve difficult, complex problems, the more likely you are to solve the problem. However, my conclusion about diversity and inclusion from the companies I've worked with, IBM and Deloitte, and also from working with the BCS, is that in order to speak with credibility and tell your industry what to do on diversity, the organisation itself needs to have looked inside and had honest conversations about its own makeup. BCS has 4 key agreed themes for the coming year: promoting professionalism, so high competence, ethics and trust; closing the digital divide. Really important on that one. It's a subject for another night probably, but there are around about 17 million people who don't have access to great digital technology in the UK, and they kind of need it, don't they? I think this last year has shown us that. Diversity and inclusion and green IT. BCS staff and members, including our new Embrace group, have played a big part in ensuring that diversity and inclusion is now central to the organisation's mission. There is a long way to go. And we all know that the challenges and issues movements like Black Lives Matter have brought to the fore are felt deeply in technology and have been there for some time. But people at webinars like this have told us that diversity can too often be a tick box or PR exercise for organisations. And when you look underneath, they're not truly committed to making sure their own structures are being truly inclusive. So that's why we've got two key areas of focus: using evidence to help understand the wider IT sector of underrepresentation, and looking internally and understanding our own challenges and biases. Why does diversity and inclusion matter in IT? Personally, I think it matters more in IT than virtually everywhere else. The IT profession welcomes talented people from a wide range of backgrounds, but fewer than 20% of IT professionals are women, and Black women make up less than 1% of the industry. These figures have hardly moved over a decade. We also know that white IT professionals are far more likely to be in director level roles. Why? Professor Dorothy Monacoso, an expert in smart homes and an honorary fellow of the BCS, spoke recently at a BCS webinar, and she said, "We need a more diverse industry to create better products and services for everyone. Only when we have diverse teams, workforces, experiences, all contributing to make diverse products and services will we be creating something that is fit for purpose. Diversity brings strength." And my own firm, Deloitte, we wrote a report recently on diversity and inclusion in technology. And we said over the next 2 years, organizations will adopt new tools such as advanced analytics, automation, and AI to help inform, deliver, and measure the impact of diversity, equality, and inclusion initiatives. This is so important. It's been so hard to measure how people are progressing and the real impact that diversity initiatives are having. And I think it's time that we use technology to help. So what is the BCS doing? We've launched Embrace as a specialist group. We've long had specialist groups for areas like software testing and consultancy, and now I'm proud to say that we have Embrace, dedicated to making the IT profession more accessible and a fairer place for professional career development, regardless of ethnicity or background. We acknowledge the challenges and opportunities that diversity presents and encourage people to work with us to address this issue. We've got a partnership with Coding Black Females. Our membership, boards, and senior leadership reflected our industry. We wanted and needed to be more diverse and invite a variety of viewpoints and experiences. Our partnership with Coding Black Females, a group of Black women who work in fields like cyber, software testing, who are developers and entrepreneurs at all stages in their careers, is one of the things we're most proud of. At once, 70 members of this group have become BCS members thanks to a unique bursary scheme, which also sees them benefit from networking and mentoring. And most importantly, they're teaching us. There's now an organisation-wide commitment to bring Coding Black Females into our governance, boards, and onto our policy work, so they have real decision-making powers. Now, we have a long list of other things that we do, and I worry about reading out long lists, so I'm just going to mention each of them are really important. I don't want to just sit here reading lists at you, but our LGBTQ+ work is really important. We're in the process of setting up a specialist group, and already we're being told that IT professionals feel a real need for this. This is something I've been hoping for a long time, so I'm looking forward to that. We're opening up fellowship. BCS fellows are some of the most respected figures in the IT industry, but they have been largely white and male. We're working to make fellowship criteria wider, broader, and taking in a far greater range of experiences and leadership examples, not just being in charge of a very large team in a global organisation or being a senior academic. We have a mentoring academics program, and we're looking specifically at providing mentoring for academics from a wide range of backgrounds. In our communications and marketing, we're promoting visible, diverse faces and voices through webinars, our website, social media, and speaking opportunities. You need to be able to see it to be it. I think role modeling is really important, actually, in every aspect of what we do, but including in communications and marketing. In the same way, we've made a strategic commitment to become the go-to place for analysis of diversity in the employment market and in education. For example, university applications. This means we have up-to-date information for media inquiries and policy responses, and we're ready to promote the need for changes. And we're currently reviewing our awards and honorary distinguished fellowships to ensure that they consider and invite nominations from the broad spectrum of talent in our industry. The criteria, titles, and marketing of these types of competition are really important. We do, through one of our groups called Stella, which is Senior Women in STEM, we are just starting a pledge program to ask professional institutions like the BCS, but others in the STEM world, to sign a pledge that they won't have any more all-male panels. But actually, we're going a little bit further than that, saying what we want is diverse panels always at every conference and at every public speaking event. And not only should the panel be diverse, but panel members should be given equal opportunities to speak during the panel session. That's something that we're planning on doing. And we also are asking you, all of you, to help us. Tell us what your ideas are. Tell us what you think we should be doing. Challenge our thinking and help us to be better at what we need to do. We need to encourage a much larger proportion of underrepresented groups into IT and the tech sector, including women, people with disabilities, and those from a wide range of ethnic groups and sexual orientations. But if organizations create demand and present themselves as welcoming, their leadership, entry criteria, and governance structures need to live up to that promise and be genuinely inclusive. Thank you so much for having me here today, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of the session.
Thank you for those inspiring words and the call to action. Indeed, it's up to all of us to be part of this conversation. I hand over now to Kirti. Please, if you'd like to turn your video on. And Kirti is our moderator who'll take you through the rest of the event. Thank you.
Thanks, Nzube, and thanks, Rebecca, for putting things into perspective. I really like the Stella approach, and I'm hoping this panel that we've put together does fit into the criteria that you just mentioned. Along with that, also wanted to do a special mention. I did see one Miss Maureen Child, if I'm not wrong. I think she's an octogenarian, and she's probably one of the few people at that age group on this as part of this discussion. And I wanted to welcome her specifically for this panel discussion that we are having. With that, let me quickly just introduce the panelists that we have today in no particular order. Firstly, we have Margaret. Margaret is investor relations manager at Wyra, if I'm pronouncing it right, in the UK. Yeah, Wyra is Telefonica's venture growth hub, and she drives the commercial opportunities between scale-ups and the global ecosystem in new product innovation. Welcome to the discussion, Margaret. Next, we have Kim. Kim is senior manager at WeWork Growth Campus UK and Ireland. She leads the startup activities in the UK and also leads the growth acceleration platforms that WeWork runs across the UK. Welcome, Kim. Next, I'd like to welcome Cecile. Cecile is the director of operations at Founder Wine. Founder Wine is an award-winning social enterprise, and he also heads the business intelligence at a rapidly growing Danish tech scale-up called Dixa. Right? Welcome, Cecile. And lastly, we have Nathan. Nathan is founder and program director of P4 Precision Medicine Accelerator. Nathan has worked and led multi-million-pound initiatives supporting tech entrepreneurs in the past 10 years. And as you can see, we clearly have a good mix of people from all parts of the startup slash VC ecosystem on this panel, and I'd hope to kind of run you through the loops of how they perceive diversity and what are the things that all of us collectively could do to accelerate diversity in the tech arena. With that, what I'd request every one of the panelists to do is probably give a brief 1-minute introduction of themselves. While I've tried to do so, maybe they want to say something about what diversity means to them and how they're looking at it as part of their work. I'll go in the order, the reverse order in which I'll introduce people. Nathan, let's begin with you, please.
So thank you for having me. I'm Nathan McNally, Program Director at Capital Enterprise and co-founder of P4 Precision Medicine Accelerator. We support precision medicine companies to access data, patients, and go to market at the end of the day to improve patient lives. We run a program that accesses data and statistics, and that's very important in having diversity, in how these models work and how the actual initiatives work. So we don't have diversity as a criteria because we want to see everyone equal, and we measure on merit. Diversity and inclusion to me is everyone is equal, and we should treat everyone like that. That's me.
Thank you, Nathan. One quick question, Nathan, just to follow on, and something that all of us have been through over the past 1 year. What is something that you have learned, or what is something that is stuck in your head during the pandemic? That's something that all of us could pick on to enhance diversity in our workplace.
So there's been a lot of research on the impacts on diverse populations. The COVID vaccine, just because it wasn't tested, shows that we need to have a diverse group of people working on these solutions and a group of diverse people involved in developing these, purely for the human race to survive.
Thank you for that. Next, I'd like to invite Cecil to say a few words about how they at his organization are looking at accelerating diversity in the work that they're doing.
Yeah, thanks, Kirfi, and good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you on a Friday night. I suppose you had nothing else to do in lockdown. But yeah, I've been in tech and management consulting for the past kind of 11 years, and also in startup scene for the last 4 years. And as Kirfi mentioned, I'm in 2 companies. In one company, I'm a head of business intelligence, so I deal with data, help set up servers, and get the business insight to the right people. But most importantly, I help found Foundervine, which is an organization which was conceptualized by Izzy, our founder, 2017, and built by myself, David, and her over these years. And the main aim of Foundervine is to remove the social barriers for innovation, and that particularly looks at entrepreneurship and also innovation in the workplace. And we do this by raising awareness of entrepreneurship in people that maybe didn't consider it before. We enable them to access opportunities in entrepreneurship. Well, once they have started a business or on their way, we accelerate them. And we also then advocate for them to corporations and at the highest level of government. So amazing thing we do is we run programs, so entrepreneurship programs and digital skills programs that are free at the point of access, and also employability programs as well. We collaborate with the likes of Lloyds Bank, Barclays Bank, WeWork. So Kim here is on the call. We collaborate with WeWork and Capital Enterprise, various universities, and also local councils. And yeah, we focus on underrepresented people, so Black, ethnic minority, low socioeconomic background, and so on and so forth. And we believe that this is the right thing to do. And I'll give you a stat. So around 33% of children of school-going age are from ethnic minority backgrounds, right? In the UK, that's 33% across the whole country. And I just want you to think about the country in 10 years, 20 years. What does it look like if we're not including everyone? And how does our economy look? How do businesses look? How does employment look?
Thank you for that, Cecil, and leaving us with a very, very deep, thought-provoking question as to what the future will look like if we don't act today. Thank you for that. From you, I'd like to call upon Kim to take the stage and say a few words about the work that she's doing.
Thanks, Kathy. Thanks so much for having me, and also happy Friday to everyone. Yes, I'm Kim. I work at WeWork. I lead our startup activities in the UK and Ireland, as you already appropriately introduced. That means our accelerator program, WeWork Labs, as well as our growth campus initiative, which actually subsidizes space for founders as well. We work with amazing partners. I think, obviously we know space, we know co-working, and we have our own acceleration program, but by no means I would ever claim we know it all. So Founder Vine, Capital Enterprise, OneTech, and Turn are some of the amazing partners we work with to make sure that we have diverse founders in our programs, right? And I won't go into too much detail just yet, but when we kicked off WeWork Labs Accelerator with about 250 founders in year one, which about 2.5 years ago, I was appalled by the mix that we first attracted. So I'm happy to say that changed, but it was a proactive effort. So yeah, that's me. I've been a female founder, obviously myself, and that's one of the points I'm particularly passionate about.
Thank you. Thanks, Kim. And lastly, Margaret, if you could do the honors now, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me today. So yeah, a little bit about Wire for those who don't know. So Wire is Telefónica's corporate innovation hub. I work for Wire UK, and essentially what we do there is run acceleration program activities. So we have vertical programs. So what that means is kind of like very kind of specific industries. So we have healthcare, we have intelligent mobility accelerator. We also have the 5G enabled technology accelerator, and I'm sure there is one that I'm missing, cybersecurity. So you can all check it out on the website. And also as well, what we do as of recent is run kind of innovation scouting for O2, which is Telefonica UK locally, and then Telefonica globally, which is what that's the team I'm in, and essentially looking for like B2B solutions in that space across cybersecurity, industry 4.0, kind of voice and communication, enterprise and 5G enabled technologies. When it comes to diversity in Wire, I mean, we have always been at the forefront, I would say. So one of the things that we've done from the beginning, being one of the first corporate accelerators in the UK, was we created hubs in various parts of the UK, because although kind of most of the activity happens in London, we also like to think that there's entrepreneurs everywhere, and there should be access to networks and community in the spaces that you're in. So you don't need to travel to the UK to access VCs and like-minded people. So before the lockdown, before COVID, if anyone can even imagine it now, we had spaces in Manchester, in Scotland, all across the UK really. Yeah, and then in terms of our team is quite diverse as well, which I'm quite proud of, and as well as our portfolio is quite diverse, not just across gender, but also we've got 30% of our portfolio is Black and minority ethnic founded, which we're quite proud of, and that's something that we're continuously trying to improve. And yeah, that's it for me.
Right. Thank you very much, Margaret. And let me start the volley of questions with you. One of the things that all of us as entrepreneurs and people who have been working with entrepreneurs for a decent period of time have seen is we tend to see that entrepreneurs in different contexts from different regions have different kinds of needs, right? Somebody in India versus somebody in Israel versus somebody in the UK while all of them are entrepreneurs, the needs that they will have would be different. Similarly, do you see when you try to bring in a more or when you try to bring in more diversity into the entrepreneurial mix, do you think people from diverse backgrounds have specific needs when it comes to entrepreneurship? Have you encountered any challenges when working with them?
Do they have, sorry, just to understand your question, so do diverse founders have specific needs?
Yeah.
I would say, you know, all founders have the same needs, right? Which is access to capital, access to, you know, networks, to business, to corporates, to partners. So I think, you know, I don't think diverse founders have specific needs. You know, I think they have the same needs as everyone else. It's just that the access is not there for them sometimes, which is unfortunately because the, you know, the VC industry is very kind of white male dominated, I should say. And often networks are not open towards diverse founders, which is what the industry, you know, the trend now is that, you know, everyone's trying to work towards making it more diverse. But I wouldn't say that diverse founders have specific needs. They have the same needs as any other entrepreneur. You know, they're trying to make money, they're trying to scale their business. So yeah, that would be my answer to that.
Cool. And if we were to look at the other side of the coin, one is the receiving side, one is the funding side, the VC community in itself. And since you're on the board of a Future VC, which is specifically a diversity-driven venture capital firm, any thoughts on how we can bring more diversity into the venture capital ecosystem itself?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few organizations that are doing, you know, great things at the moment. So the Future VC is a diversity VC initiative. I'm actually on the board of Future VC, and basically what they do is they created this pioneering kind of internship program for VCs specifically for diverse candidates to improve diversity. And quite a number of people who've gone through that program are actually now working in the industry. So you've got initiatives like Future VC, you've got Included VC, which is run by Notion Capital. I'll drop it in the chat afterwards for anyone who's interested in checking them out. So I think there's a lot of things that are being done at the moment in terms of improving diversity in teams. And I guess as well in terms of improving diversity in, I guess, where, you know, the cash is going, where funding is going. There's I think, which was launched last year, Investing in Women Code, which is that's also another diversity VC initiative, if I'm not mistaken, where they're trying to improve the amount of funding going into female founders. It would be great to see something replicated like that for kind of, you know, race specific. So for, you know, BAME founders, that would be great as well. But yeah, I think there's a lot of things that are happening right now in the ecosystem to improve diversity across the board.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Margaret. Now let me ask Kim a follow-on question, something which is similar in nature, but probably more into the kind of stuff that WeWork might be more aware of. Kim, do you think, since you have had the opportunity to study startups up close and you work with them on a daily basis, do you think there is a need for someone like WeWork itself, who's looking at supporting entrepreneurs every which way possible, to consciously encourage or sensitize startups on workforce diversity?
I mean, 100%, right? I mean, there is quite selfishly, right? If our mission is, as accelerators as a whole, not just us, but all accelerators, to help startups increase their chance of success, diverse teams simply perform better, right? It's as simple as that. So from that standpoint alone, we should proactively encourage diverse teams. I also feel as an accelerator, you kind of have a duty to, you know, it's for many startups, unfortunately, not the first priority, right? The first priority is hire or find a co-founder, find a full stack engineer or a CTO. So if we don't, they come to us also for education. So if we don't then take that opportunity to educate them on maybe points where they can find those amazing co-founders, but from perhaps a group that's very different from them, right? We have right now, luckily, the most amazing teams, right? A 22-year-old CEO with a 65-year-old CTO, for example, and of course there's many other examples. So yeah, I do feel we have an obligation to proactively tackle that subject.
And if you're seriously taking that obligation that you just mentioned, any special programs or any special, how do I put that, orientation that you provide these startups when it comes to looking at diversity specifically in their organization?
Yeah, 100%. So I think, you know, we've been doing a lot over the last few years, but definitely not enough. I think no matter what you do, you can always do more. We're no experts, so please, all suggestions welcome. One thing we've done, of course, with Cecil and Foundervine is our Diverse Founders program. Super cool, 100 spots completely for free. Because yes, funding is an issue, right? So that's one of the barriers we can remove. Mentors very often are white and male, right? Our role models, all white and male. That's one of the things where we had to not just work with the mentors who applied, but also actually proactively go find mentors ourselves that represented a wider background to also attract more diverse founders. Maybe a simple thing we do, but I think it's been amazingly attractive. So on Slack, our whole lab's global community lives on Slack, about 5,000 founders. We have channels for Pride, Women of We, Ladies of Labs, We of Color. And this does help founders with specific backgrounds or who feel, you know, attracted to a group like that to connect and share experience that they might face that other founders don't. Parents as well. Let's not forget about the parents, especially under COVID.
Thank you for those thoughts, Kim. Nathan, let me bring you in here. And I'm probably going to repeat something that I was asking Margaret in one form. Do you think diverse founders have any special considerations as entrepreneurs? Either do they need to be specially aware of something in what they're attempting to do, or should they be given special privileges to come on par with, you know, the others who are part of the same journey as they are?
Yeah, I think I'd like to mirror kind of what Margaret said, that they all have the same needs and considerations. I think what they need to be aware of and what, I guess, bias and unspoken process has been is that there's been bias across the whole system. Kim just alluded to it as well. There's been teams that have investors that are male white dominated, corporates that are male white dominated, and that's only just changing. So I think we need to be aware that there is a real push consciously to change this, and initiatives like OneTech, companies like WeWork, Foundervine have really been joining together and working together to really push this sector, the tech sector, the IT sector, startup sector, to really think and proactively put things in place to change this. Again, yeah, without diverse teams, we're not aware of problems. Like, I don't know everyone's problems. So we need everyone to work together to actually understand what everyone's going through.
Cool. Right. Coming from the background that you are coming from, the precision medicine program work that you guys are doing, one of the things that most of us as engineers are aware of is the bias that is a major issue when it comes to AI, right? And something that Rebecca was alluding to a while back while she was speaking. Use of AI in increasing diversity in the workplaces is going to be something that is needed over the next 2-3 years. So I'm just picking up on the AI bit and trying to understand from you, since you work with this on a regular basis, how do you think AI itself can be made more inclusive? And, you know, all of us are aware of problem statements where we realize that, you know, AI is biased towards a particular activity or towards a particular ethnic community in a lot of cases. So how do you make that more inclusive?
Yeah, so I mean, IT in theory should be inclusive. I mean, it's learning a language, it's learning a skill, it's learning mathematics. and putting those in practice. We're a remote world now, so you can kind of do this and join a team virtually from across the world, anywhere in the world. And we have teams that have teams spread across India, the US, Australia, Canada, Asia. So that's a positive that's coming out. A few examples is one that I think that may be known is a hand dryer, because it was a all kind of fair-skinned team. They didn't think to check it on a darker skin, so it wouldn't even read when a darker hand went under it, and it wouldn't activate. But more serious, an AI model to detect skin melanoma cancer. Again, teams not diverse enough, and there's not enough data to be used to actually detect cancers on darker skin. So that just shows there needs to be more data, more collaboration between countries, between people. And then there's also learnings in that culturally as well, to give access to data, access to samples, and how that works as well. It's funny enough, recently I was talking to an investor who's gay, and there's lots of family planning, lots of hormone services and treatments coming out for personalized medicine, but nothing for him. And he's going through that now. So it shows that we need people from all walks of life, and diverse and inclusive teams to be able to solve these problems that are coming out.
Great, thank you for that. Cecil, let me try and bring you in here now. As somebody who's won a recognition as a Bain founder, right? Again, paraphrasing questions that have been asked before, but let's take your input on that as well. Any advice to VCs, accelerators, co-working spaces on being sensitive to Bain founders?
Yeah, I think, having interacted with many VCs and, also found Divine running accelerators and pre-accelerators and knowing what the accelerator system is like, and also, collaborating with co-working spaces, I think there's a few things that I can point out. So first with VCs, I think there is a lot of bias, and it's not actually conscious. Well, I think it's not conscious. I think it's subconscious. And, there was a study done in 2016, I think, where resumes were, whitened, the names were whitened and sent out, and the success rate was 2.5 times greater. And, if you think about that, that's just a piece of paper. They haven't even seen you yet. And that's, that type of bias is all everywhere in society, but it's unconscious. So it's a case for VCs to really understand that there will definitely be some level of bias. So trying to anonymize processes would probably be a better shout for them, especially since diverse teams actually perform better. So maybe, oops, sorry, my light went off. Maybe that might be a better investment. And also hiring more ethnic minorities and women, or training them. Just don't say that there's no one available. Like, find a way. We've got around 22% of people graduating from universities as ethnic minorities in this country. Like, there has to be someone out there that can join your firm from a different background. It's unacceptable. With accelerators, again, I think, applications to accelerators are often screened, name screened, and interviews, and bias creeps in again. So anonymization, also better representation of speakers and mentors from different backgrounds on the acceleration programs. A white male is not the only person that knows how to run a good business in this world. And so they should proactively seek people from different backgrounds. Another point is admitting people from an earlier stage. I see that within Black communities, especially, people that have they're at a very earlier stage in terms of building a business. They may not have the prototype yet, they may not have the revenue yet, but there is ambition and there is promise, but they don't seem to be getting the admission to some of these accelerators. So admit at an earlier stage where you do see promise, and try and work out ways that you can include more people from different backgrounds. And then co-working spaces, well, I can't really diss WeWork because Kim's on the call, but I would never do that.
Please be honest, Cecil. Please be honest.
But WeWork is a great example of an organization that proactively goes out and tries to incorporate people from diverse backgrounds into their workplace. And the talks that we've had between Foundervine and WeWork were not simple and straightforward. There was loads of considerations to take into account, and WeWork were there to listen to all of it and be advised, and really took the recommendations that we had on board. Sorry, I have one of these Google systems that keeps turning it off. So yeah, I think one thing I'd say about co-working spaces is a lot of times in a co-working space, you may not have a lot of people that are from different backgrounds. And so making people feel welcome, going out of your way, like having events specifically aimed at underrepresented groups, but actually not talking about diversity, talk about, how to build a scalable cloud architecture, but then invite a really diverse speaker along, and have people from diverse backgrounds attending, encourage them, so that other people can attend, and it's not just about talking about diversity. So yeah, those are some of the things that I think I would suggest.
Thank you, Sir. I don't know if all of you have noticed, Dubai has put out a message on the chat box, that Q&A from the floor. You can type in your questions. I'll ask one last comment from all the speakers, and then we take questions coming in from the messages in the chat box. An open question to everybody on the panel: just any advice for entrepreneurs in the audience on how to find their co-founder from, let's say, a minority community or from a diverse background? Any specific advice that any one of you guys would want to give a co-founder or a founder or an entrepreneur in the audience today?
I would say don't specifically just look for someone from a minority community, but more or less open your mind to the fact that your co-founder could actually be very different to you. On our Foundervine programs, we have seen the most unlikely people match up and continue on to success, but they wouldn't have come across each other if they didn't come to the program. So be open to who could potentially be your co-founder. And I just share a tip that if you go to a networking event, COVID allowing, when you're in a room with people, try and speak to the person that you think you'd least get along with, or the person that you think you share the least in common with. And I think you'll be very, very surprised at how well you can actually get along and how many commonalities you share.
Is anybody else? Any comments?
Yeah, I would just add that you should go to kind of hackathons. The important thing when you're looking for a co-founder is, finding someone who kind of complements a skill set that perhaps you don't have, and that can really add value. So if it's a technical, co-founder, you need to go to hackathons, you need to be going to, I know things are, online now. So maybe just going to these kind of meetups, online virtual meetups. And also a great app is Lunch Club. I don't know if anyone's heard of Lunch Club, but they match you depending on your interests. So that's a great way. I mean, it's finding a co-founder is quite hard to do. Starting a business with someone is, a really challenging thing. So you need to make sure that you find that right person. A lot of people refer to it as a marriage or a relationship. But yeah, I would say probably start there. So try and find, groups where people have similar interests. So kind of hackathons. There's Black Girl Summit, which Nicole Krenzel runs for Black female founders. So many groups out there. You just need to hop on Google and search.
Are you saying we do blind dates or go the Indian way and have arranged marriage?
That is what Lunch Club is like, actually. So it sets you up with people, and then you just have conversations. And yeah.
Okay, cool. Kim, Nathan, any comments?
I think it's completely true, right? What Margaret and Cecil said. Ask people who are not like you for recommendations in their network. Your own network is always just a mirror of yourself. I'm 100% convinced that my startup failed because my co-founder and I were identical. So yeah, find somebody who's. There's also a website. Don't go just LinkedIn and Angel List if you are job hunting in that way. Go to the Dots, or there are some specific platforms. Clubhouse, Be Creative, right? Like there's some specific platforms that attract a wider diverse audience.
I'm going to do some self-promotion. So OneTech is an initiative for diverse founders. And together with WeWork and Foundervine, there's some great events going on. And Wira as well. There's some great events that Wira put on. So yeah, go to our events. We try to bring kind of diverse communities together, skilled communities as well. So do that. I would say LinkedIn is great to start conversations, and possibly don't just look at the UK. There's some great groups and great people doing great things across the world.
Thank you. Inzula, I'm hoping I have time for one more question. Is that okay? Or
yes, one final question. Okay. It's fine.
Okay, thanks. One last question again to all the panelists. And for the next 30 seconds, I'd request all of you to imagine your gods, right? All gods from whatever religion or belief that you are from. But if you had the power to change one thing in your sphere of influence that will accelerate diversity in your environment, what would you change? You're given one request, and you've been given 30 seconds power to play God and change one thing. What would you change?
So in 2019, there was some work done, and for every pound of venture capital investment, only 1 penny or less than 1 penny went to all female teams. I think it was 92% went to all male founding teams. So I think a more diversity across those decision makers, and more capital being put towards more diverse teams and initiatives.
Great. Thanks, Nathan. Anybody else?
Yeah, Kirfi, that's a massive question. And, I don't think I dare do it justice by answering it. But if I could change one tiny thing, I would get more corporates to purchase from companies built by diverse people. I think diversity needs to be ingrained into a system, and the best way I can think about it is embedding it into supply chains, and that will continue to employ people from different backgrounds, and also sustain the families of people from those different backgrounds, and also encourage others to see those businesses thriving. So that's one thing that I would change.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I might just jump onto that actually, what Cecil just mentioned, because that is exactly why I started Access All last year. So to kind of bring, because I think that's a really important thing. B2B selling, and as an entrepreneur, is extremely hard to do, and even more so for diverse entrepreneurs, because I mean, me myself in my day to day, we don't speak to many Black founders, which is such a shame, which is what led me to start Access All. It's just open up those networks to Black founders, help them understand, what does procurement look like? How do you even approach kind of O2 to sell a solution? So I think for me, that would probably be my wish list. So same as Cecil.
Guys, send all those startups our way. I will speak to procurement. No, it's a really good point. I mean, the God question, you said in my sphere of influence or God, right? So I don't know which one to pick.
So you are God within your sphere of influence.
I would pick, I think, we have Jeff Bezos, we have Elon Musk, we have Mark Zuckerberg. It's, it's boring, to be honest. Like I would pick 5 of my startups and make them unicorns. Can I say that? No, but seriously, like make sure that we get some better role models up there, because that will hopefully also inspire more people, as Cecil said, to take the journey, right? Even though it's not very likely normally for them to want to become an entrepreneur.
Makes sense. I for one would make more movies about women successful in different fields. They seem to send a good message to a lot of people across the board. With that, I think I will call it a close from my end, and thank you all of you for being great panelists and humoring the questions that you've been asked. And I hope the audience has enjoyed your comments on the aspects that we've been discussing. And we're more than happy to take any comments, as everybody has given an open invitation. If you think there is a suggestion that can help us in improving the work that we're doing or making our own work, our own effort more diverse and more inclusive, we are more than happy to take that feedback. So please do give us our feedback in any format possible. And with that, Enduwe, over to you.
Sure, thank you. And before we wrap up this panel, I've seen Maureen Charles. She asked a couple of questions around age diversity. So if anyone wants to just jump in, give a quick remark, or even ex-President Rebecca George, if anyone wants to quickly comment on that before I make closing remarks.
So I saw the question in the chat. Hi, Maureen. My experience with the BCS is that there are lots of people involved who are over 60. Probably too many. I'm over 60 myself. If we're going to be really representative, I think we need to be really representative. That doesn't mean that we forget our older community, who are just as important as everybody else, but we're overrepresented, in my opinion, at the older end. And we need a lot, we just need a lot more young people, is my view. Thank you.
Brilliant. So thank you so much. And that brings this event to a close. So we've heard an opening call to action from past president, several tips from an all-star panel, an excellent moderation, and several insights from B2B sales to lunch club and networking ideas. The list goes on. You can play back this video on YouTube when we publish this in a few days. You can then also subscribe and continue the conversation by joining the BCS. Why? Because we have 68,000 members in 150 countries, most of whom are digital, technical, and IT professionals. As an organization, we are a registered charity with a Royal Charter, and our wider community includes business leaders, educators, practitioners, and policymakers that are committed to our mission of making IT good for society. So I'd like to thank again each member of the panel, Margaret, Kim, Cecil, Nathan, and Kirti for moderating, and also our ex-president Rebecca for participating. And thank you all in the audience for joining us and giving us your attention on a Friday evening. So on that note, thank you again, and see you all next time. We have several events. You can go to the bcs.org website for more information. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.